Our title today, factoring trinomials. Write this down, factoring trinomials. But instead of x squared plus bx plus c, today we are looking at ax squared plus bx plus c. And there will be a difference in terms of how we factor these today versus what we used when it was just x squared instead of ax squared. Basically what that means is we're going to see numbers in front of our variable squared today. And we're actually going to factor with those. It's not just going to automatically be a GCF with that either. Let's see, today is May 3rd. Ooh, I got to remember to wear my Star Wars shirt tomorrow. What's May the 4th be with you tomorrow because of Star Wars. Yeah. So I'll be wearing my Star Wars shirt for sure. Let's see. Let me see if that one's not working well for you. I've got this one here. All right. So real quick, let's do the warm up. It's just like what we finished up with on the quiz there. So we're looking for two numbers on number 1 that are going to multiply to 45 and add to 14. And I'll just let you know that would be 9 and 5. They're both positive. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 plus 5 is 14. So we're looking at x plus 9 times x plus 5. And so what we're going to be doing today is actually going to look really similar to what we're doing right now with 1 or 2 added steps, but it's a very similar process overall. The next one, number 2, n squared minus 3n minus 28. So we need two numbers that multiply to equal 28, negative 28. So we have to have a positive and a negative. And the same two numbers have to add to equal negative 3. So what two numbers do you know of that would multiply to equal 28? Just off the top of your head, what two numbers equal 28 when you multiply? Two and 14. Okay, so if we have 2 and 14, and the larger one is made negative because they have to add to equal a negative. If I add those together, I get negative 12. I'm looking for negative 3. All right, so what other two numbers multiply to equal 28? Seven and 4. All right, so if we have 7 and 4, and the larger one is negative, that'd be negative 7. Plus 4 is negative 3. And if we multiply them, we get negative 28. So those are our numbers that we need, n minus 7, and then n plus 4. That's our factoring for number 2. Number 3, similar. But what should we do first on number 3? Gillian? Factor out the 2, exactly. Because right now, still, the only thing we know how to do here is if the variable squared is the first variable or the first term, so we have to get rid of the 2. So if we divide out of 2, that'll give us 2 times a squared plus a minus 12. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 12 and add to 1. So a positive and a negative, and then the larger one is the positive one. And I have to add to equal positive 1. So what two numbers multiply to equal 12 and are only 1 apart? Three and 4. All right, so 3 and 4, with the larger of the two being positive because they add to equal positive, so negative 3 and positive 4. So that would be 2 times a minus 3 times a plus 4. Cool. Number 4, what do we have to do first on number 4? Divide them all by 4, yeah, because again, the only thing that we know how to do at this point is if the first term is squared, so we have to get rid of that 4, so we have to divide out of 4 from everything. So that'll be 4 times p squared minus 6p plus 5. So once again, we need a positive and a negative number. Or sorry, no, we don't need a positive and a negative number because we're multiplying to a positive and adding to a negative. So they're both negative. So what two numbers would multiply to 5? Well, what are the only two options for multiplying to 5? 1 and 5. And if they're both negative, that would be a positive when we multiply them, and it would be a negative 6 if we add them. So there they are, negative 1 and negative 5. So 4 times p minus 1 times p minus 5. All right. So again, that's just a quick recap on factoring the ax squared or the x squared plus bx plus c that we learned last Thursday or last Thursday. So today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be factoring things like number 4 that don't have a GCF to begin with. So we're going to learn a new process, and it's called the slip and slide method. So anybody ever use a slip and slide? Like in the summertime, like a big plastic sheet that you just run on. So when the first number cannot be factored out like we did on 3 and 4, if there's a number in front of the variable and you can't factor it out, we can possibly still factor the trinomial. The steps below show a method called slip and slide to factor the trinomial. So the slip portion of this is slip the value of a, so fill in for a, slip a to the end of the trinomial and multiply by c. This is also referred to as the a times c method because you have to multiply the value of a and the value of c. So like on number 4, you would have multiplied 4 and 20, or on 3, you would have multiplied 2 and negative 24. Although you wouldn't necessarily have done that because we factored out the number, which made it normal, I guess, normal based on what we know how to do. And so once you do that, once you take the value of a to the end of the trinomial, or I guess end would be this way for you, end of the trinomial, multiply it by c, factor the new basic trinomial. So let's actually just do this as we're working on problem number 1. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take our value of a on example 1, which is 2. The value of a is 2, and we're going to take it to the end of the trinomial by multiplying it by 3. Now, I also want to make sure that you understand that there are no GCFs here in this trinomial. So previously, we would have just divided everything by 2, but 5 and 3 don't divide by 2 to get whole number values. So that's why we have to do this. We're going to take our 2, we're going to send it to the end and multiply it by 3, which will give us x squared plus 5x plus 6. Because we're multiplying the first number by the last number. A times c, 2 times 3 is 6. And so now we're looking for, it says factor this new basic trinomial. So now it's just an x squared plus 5x plus 6. So this, we're turning the new type of trinomial into the old type of trinomial and just using what we've already learned how to do. So what two numbers multiply to equal 6 and add to equal 5? 2 and 3. So now we can just factor this like we did previously. The only thing though is that x plus 2 times x plus 3, this is not the answer. Because this FOILs back out to equal x squared plus 5x plus 6, not 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. So there are more steps that we have to do. So we've done step 1 and we've done step 2. So step 1 is here. Step 2 is here. We multiplied, we factored. Now step 3 says divide both of your factors by the value you slipped over in step 1. That would be the value of a. So divide both factors by the value of a that you slipped over in step 1. So both of our factors, 2 and 3, just these numbers here, are going to be divided by the original value of a, which is 2. So divide by a, so divide by 2 on both of those. Looks a little strange. Now, step 4, I think might be the most challenging one. So step 1, multiply the first and the last numbers, fine. Step 2, figure out the factors to factor the basic trinomial that's left, not too bad. Step 3, divide by a, so you're just writing divide by a underneath both of those. So that's step 3. Now step 4 says reduce the fractions, because we haven't used the slide part of the slip and slide yet. Reduce the fractions and slide any denominators up to the variable. What that means is, if when you divide, there is still a denominator left other than 1, that value then moves in front of the variable in that set of parentheses. So that does not happen with this first set of parentheses because 2 divided by 2 equals what? 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we get x plus 1 because 2 divided by 2 is 1. Simple enough. Now over here, 3 divided by 2 does not equal a whole number nor does it reduce, does it? 3/2 doesn't reduce either. So the slide portion of this is we're going to take our value of 2 and we are going to slide it up next to the variable. So the 2 ends up going up in front of that x there. Because 3/2 does not reduce. And so the denominator ends up going right in front of the x in the second set of parentheses. So we end up with 2x plus 3. So the first 3 steps, I think, are relatively easier to follow than step 4, because step 4, you have to deal with this slide portion here. So if there's anything left over on the denominator after you reduce, or if it doesn't reduce, that denominator will end up sliding in front of whatever variable is with it in the parentheses. And then it says distribute to check, or use FOIL to check. And if we FOILed this back out, we end up with first times first, that's 2x squared. The outer would be x times 3, so that's 3x. The inner would be 1 times 2x, which is plus 2x. And then the last is 1 times 3, which is 3. And if we add the 2 terms in the middle together, 2x plus 3x is 5x. And so we end up with the exact thing that we began with, which is 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Now, you don't have to use FOIL every single time. I'm just showing you that it does work when you FOIL it back out. Step 4 is probably also the most important part of this because it brings things back to where they need to be. All right, let's try example 2. Example 2, we got 5m squared minus 17m plus 6. Now, there's no GCF between those 3 terms that we can divide out. So we have to start by multiplying the value of a times the value of c. We're going to slip the a, 5, to the end and multiply it by 6, which is 30. So we get m squared minus 17m plus 30. So multiply those 2 together. Step 2 is to figure out and just factor this basic trinomial. So 2 numbers that multiply to a positive 30 and add to a negative 17, which means both factors have to be negative. So what are the 2 numbers that would multiply to a positive 30 and add to negative 17? Yeah, 15 and 2 would be adding to 17. If they're both negative, it'd be negative 17. So 15, negative 15, negative 2. So we're going to have m minus 15 times m minus 2. So we've got step 1. We slip the 5 to the end, multiplied it by the 6, got m squared minus 17m plus 30. Factor this trinomial, m minus 15 times m minus 2. That's step 2. Step 3, divide both of the factors, negative 15 and negative 2, by the value of a. So divide these both by 5, the original value of a. And then if they divide out evenly, then you just have that number. 15 divided by 5 is 3, so we're going to have m minus 3. But negative 2 divided by 5 does not reduce at all. So we take the denominator of 5 and we slide that in front of the variable in that set of parentheses. So the other set of parentheses will be 5m minus 2. And if you FOIL that back out, you'll end up with 5m squared minus 17m plus 6. Okay, any questions there so far? That last step, again, I think step 4 is going to be the one that might cause the most challenge. But if you follow these steps, you've got them right here. Follow those steps. If you get lost on the assignment, follow those 4 steps. All right. By the way, there's only one more lesson in this unit after today's. Tomorrow will be kind of another review day on factoring. Thursday, we'll do our final lesson. Friday will be another review day. And then next Monday, we'll try another quiz. And then Tuesday and Wednesday of next week will be unit review days. So next Thursday, plan on taking your unit test next Thursday. All right, example number 3. 6, 5, and 4 are the 3 numbers here. There are no common factors between those. So we have to go with our slip and slide method. So we're going to slip the value of a to the end, multiply it by c, which is negative 4. What does 6 times negative 4 equal? Negative 24. So we got y squared minus 5y minus 24. So we need two numbers that will multiply to equal negative 24 and add to equal negative 5. So we need a positive and a negative. And then the negative value is going to be the larger one. So just give me two numbers that multiply to equal 24. Just start with that. Two numbers that multiply to equal 24. Gillian? 12 and 2. All right. 12 and 2. If the larger one is the negative one, that would add to equal negative 10. We need it to equal negative 5. So let's try a different one. What else multiplies to equal 24? 3 and 8. All right. If the larger one is negative, that would be negative 8 and positive 3. Add those together, negative 5. Okay, so those are our two factors that we need. So we're going to get y plus 3 times y minus 8. So step one, slip the value of a to the n, multiply it by c, get your new basic trinomial. Factor the trinomial in step 2. We did that. Step 3, divide both factors, 3 and negative 8, by the original value of a. So that would be divide by 6. So 3 divided by 6, 8 divided by 6. Now, 3 doesn't divide by 6 evenly, but it does reduce. What does it reduce to? 1/2. Okay. So 3 over 6 actually reduces to 1/2. So if you want to change this to a 1 and change that to a 2, that 2 then is still a denominator. So that 2 slides in front of the variable because there is a denominator that's left over. So that would be 2y plus 1. Oops. 2y plus 1. Now this other one, negative 8 divided by 6, does that reduce? Yeah, what does it reduce to? 4 over 3. So the 8 reduces to a 4. The 6 reduces to a 3. So anytime you can reduce the fraction, definitely do that. The first two, we were just able to divide things out, and then the other fraction didn't reduce. This one, both fractions reduce. So we're going to take our value of 3, the denominator, slide it over in front of the variable, which will end up giving us 3y minus 4. So 2y plus 1 times 3y minus 4 is our answer for that third one. Like I said, this fourth step here, there's a lot of different ways that this last step can be done, but always just look to see if you can reduce the fraction or divide it outright. If you can, and there's a denominator left over, move that denominator in front of that variable. So slip it back or slide it back over in front of the variable. All right, example 4. We got 12c squared plus 11c minus 5. So again, no common factors here. So we have to take our value of a, slip it to the end, multiply it by the value of c. 12 times negative 5. What do we get? What is 12 times negative 5? Billion? Yep, minus 60. Okay. If you need to use a calculator for this stuff, 100% okay. So c squared plus 11c minus 60. So step 1, slip that a to the value of c, multiply it, and we've got our new basic trinomial. Now we need to factor this. So we need two numbers that will multiply to negative 60 and add to positive 11. What do you think? $15 and negative 4. So 15 times 4 is 60. And if we make the smaller one negative, because the larger one has to be positive, they're going to add to a positive. 15 plus negative 4 is 11. And 15 times negative 4 is negative 60. Nice. So we've got c plus 15 times c minus 4. And then we're going to go ahead and divide. So that's step 2, factor the basic trinomial. Step 3, divide both factors by the original value of a. So the value that you slipped from part 1. So 15 divided by 12, negative 4 divided by 12. Reduce those factors if you can. Or reduce the fractions if you can. And then if there's still a remaining denominator other than 1, slide that denominator in front of the variable. So 15 over 12, does that reduce? Yeah, they're each divisible by 3. So that would be what? That reduces to 5 over 4. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So we are going to slide the value of 4 in front of C. And so this will give us 4C plus 5 for our first set of parentheses. 4 over 12, does that simplify? To what? 1/3, okay. So 1 over 3, slide the value of 3 in front of C. And so we're looking at 3C minus 1. So 4C plus 5 times 3C minus 1. All right, that is our new process. So let's move on, try some of these other ones. By the way, there might not be a lot of time for work in class today, which is fine. I'm not going to go over the answers first thing tomorrow for the assignment that you get today. Tomorrow's going to be a lot of work time. So you'll be able to work on that assignment during class tomorrow. All right. Does anybody need more time on example 4 before we move on? Anybody need more time? All right. Go and turn the page. Page 2. Here we go. We're gonna do a few of these. We might try to get through all of them if we can. If we don't have time, that's fine too. So number 1, 3, 11, and 10. There are no common factors between those 3 values. So we are going to start by multiplying the A value of 3 by the C value of 10. So slip it on down. 3 times 10 is 30. So we're gonna get x squared minus 11x plus 30. So there's step 1. Step 2, factor the new basic trinomial. We need 2 numbers that multiply to positive 30 and add to negative 11. The only way for that to happen is if both factors are negative. So what 2 numbers are we using here? You can think of them as both positive and then just put negatives in front of them once you figure out the numbers to use. So 2 numbers that multiply to 30 and add to 11. 5 and 6. All right. So 5 and 6, both negative, negative 5 and negative 6. Good. So x minus 5 times x minus 6. So step 2 is done. We factored our new basic trinomial. Step 3, divide both of the factors in these parentheses by the original value of a. So divide them both by 3. And let's see. 5 over 3 does not reduce, so we're just going to take our value of 3 then, the denominator, and slide it in front of the x. So that'll be 3x minus 5. And then let's see, 6 divided by 3, that's just 2. So there's no denominator to slide back on this one because 6 divided by 3 is 2, so that'll just be x minus 2. And that's our answer. All right, I want you to try number 2. See if you can work through that one on your own. Take a couple minutes on it. If you have questions as you're working through that, let me know. And we'll check in a couple minutes. Soon as the task is done. About 30 more seconds, and we'll start working through this one. All right. So for step one, Elena, I want to hear about step one here. What did you end up getting after step one? Good. Y squared minus 10y plus 24. Good. So we take our value of a, slip it to the end, multiply it by c. 8 times 3 is 24. Step two, Gabriella, we need to factor this basic trinomial. So what are our two factors that would multiply to negative 20, or sorry, multiply to positive 24 and add to negative 10?
Negative 6.
Good. Negative 6 and negative 4. Gotta wait for passing it back. Okay. So negative 6 times negative 4 is positive 24. Add the two together, you get negative 10. Good. So we're looking at y minus 6 times y minus 4. So step one and step two are covered. Good. Step three, I want to hear from Alicia. Step three is the division step. So what are we dividing by? 8. And then, so that'll be divide by 8 here and divide by 8 here. Okay. And then when we divide by 8, what does this first one reduce to? 3 over 4. Good, because we can divide them both by 2. So 3 over 4. And the second one? 1/2. So 1 over 2. All right. And then let's see, Jimena. What are we going to write for our answer on this one? So the denominator right here, this 4, we're going to slide this in front of the y. Move the 4 in front of the y, 4y, and then minus the 3, and then we'll do the same thing with the other one. Good one. Yeah. Yes. Okay, sounds good. All right. So I guess you're heading down real quick. They didn't say if you're leaving or not, so if you want to just head on down and check, I don't know. Oh, for Australia, sorry, not Luke.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, not Luke. Okay, let's see. So for the second set of parentheses, Jimena, what do we think? So take our 2, slide it in front of the y. So what will that give us for that? 2y, good. And then minus the reduced fraction, so minus 1. Okay, 4y minus 3 times 2y minus 1. Awesome. Let's see, we'll take a look at one more of these, and then we will work on some of the ones at the bottom. So let's go to number, let's work on number 6. So problem number 6. I'll leave that up there so you can see number 2 a little bit better for a second. All right, so there's 2 up there still. We're going to move down to number 6. So we're going to start by slipping the value of a, 6, all the way to the end, multiply by c. 6 times negative 12. And again, if you need to use a calculator for some of the multiplication and the division and all that, that's totally fine. But what is 6 times negative 12? Yeah, so x squared plus x minus 72. All right, now we're going to factor this new basic trinomial. We need two numbers that are going to multiply to a negative 72 and add to 1. And they're going to be positive and a negative because that's the only way to multiply to a negative. And they have to add to equal positive, so the larger one is the positive value. And because they equal positive 1 when you add them together, positive and negative, that means that the larger one is only 1 more than the smaller one. So what two factors of 72 are only 1 apart from each other? Two factors of 72 that are only 1 apart from each other. Do you remember it? Yeah, 9 and 8. So 9 times 8 is 72. The larger one will be the positive, so 8 is going to be negative. 9 times negative 8 is negative 72. 9 plus negative 8 is 1. All right, Tanner. All right, so we're going to have x plus 9 times x minus 8. Cool. So the last thing we need to do here is divide both of these numbers by our value of a, and then reduce and slide back if we need to. So divide by 6, original value of a. And then neither of those will cancel out the denominator, but both of those fractions will reduce. So what does 9 over 6 reduce to? 3 over 2. They're both divisible by 3, so 9 divided by 3 is 3, 6 divided by 3 is 2. What about 8 and 6? Yeah, 4 over 3. They're both divisible by 2. So then we can take our value of the denominator here, slide it in front of the x, so that'll be 2x, plus the reduced fraction there, so plus 3. Slide the 3 in front of the x over here, 3x, and then minus the reduced value, minus 4. So 2x plus 3 times 3x minus 4 for number 6. All right. We're going to do a couple of these ones down here at the bottom, factoring out a GCF first, and then we will be done. Let's look at number 8. Problem number 8. What is the GCF of all 3 terms on number 8? 2, yeah. Everything on number 8 is divisible by 2. So let's divide these all by 2, and that'll give us 6x squared plus x minus 1. But the inside here, this is still ax squared plus bx plus c. So now we have to go through the process that we learned just a few minutes ago. So slip the value of a all the way to the end, multiply it by the value of c. 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. So that's going to be 2 times x squared plus x minus 6. Now we need to factor this basic trinomial. So we need 2 numbers that multiply to a negative 6 and add to a positive 1. 3 and 2, okay. One of them has to be negative because we're multiplying to a negative 6, and they have to add to equal positive, so the larger one has to be positive. So if I make a negative 2, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, 3 plus negative 2 is positive 1. Good. So we got 2 times x plus 3 times x minus 2. Now our final step is to divide both of these by our original value of a for this trinomial. So that'd be the 6. It's not going to be the 12, it'll be the 6. So it's by whatever you multiply the a and the c by once you do that multiplication step. So divide these both by 6. So 3 divided by 6, negative 2 divided by 6. And then reduce the fractions if possible, which this first one, 3 over 6 is 1/2. So 1, and then 2. And then 2 6 would be 1/3. So divide by 2 would be 1, divide by 2 is 3. So we have our original factored out 2. And then we are going to slide this 2 in front of the x. Slide the 2 in front of the x. So 2x and then plus 1. Slide this 3 in front of that x. So 3x minus 1. So 2 times 2x plus 1 times 3x minus 1. All right. Let's do number 9. This will be our last one, number 9. Number 9. What can we divide all 3 of those by? 3? Yeah, I think that's it. So 3 is our GCF here. So divide out of 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5, so that's 5y squared. 18 divided by 3 is 6, so minus 6y. 24 divided by 3 is 8, so minus 8. So 5y squared minus 6y minus 8 with the 3 on the outside. So we're going to start by slipping our value of a, the 5, to the end, multiplying it by c, 5 times negative 8. What does that equal? Five times negative 8. Or 5 times 8, make it negative. Yeah, negative 40. So 3, and then y squared minus 6y minus 40. All right, so 2 numbers. Just give me 2 numbers that multiply to equal 40. Any 2 numbers that equal 40 when you multiply. Kill it. 10 and 4. All right. So 10 times 4 is 40. If we make one of them negative, that would be negative 40. But we have to make the larger one negative because they're adding to a negative. So negative 10 times 4 is negative 40. Negative 10 plus 4 equals negative 6. So those are our factors that we need, negative 10 and positive 4. So 3 times y minus 10 times y plus 4. And then we have to divide both of our factors in these parentheses by the value of a that we multiplied. So 5, divide them both by 5. And this first one here, what's 10 divided by 5 equal? It's just 2. So there's no denominator to slide back over in front of the variable here because 10 divided by 5 is just a whole number. So we're going to have 3 times y minus 2, because that just divides. And then 4 over 5 does not reduce, so we are going to slide that denominator of 5 in front of the y on that second set of parentheses. So that will give us 5y plus 4. All right. So that is it for our ax² plus bx plus c factor.